What does it even mean to fight for your life? Not in some dramatic one-time moment, but again and again, every single day, in a body that people never let you forget, is different. I keep coming back to that question because there's this story I want to tell you. It's about Dolly Martinez, and it's still hard to believe she's gone. Dolly was just 30. She dyed her hair blue and had a laugh that could crack the thickest sadness in a room. Last month, the world lost her, and honestly, it isn't right. It just isn't. Maybe you remember her from My 600 Pound Life. Dolly was 25 when she appeared on the show in 2022. Reality TV comes and goes, but in that one episode, she left a mark that numbers or headlines could never explain. It wasn't just her struggle with weight. It was how she talked, the honesty she had, the way she looked straight into the camera, saying things most people would hide away. People rooted for her because you could see she was real. It was Dolly's half-sister, Lindsay Cooper, who shared the news with the world. She wrote a Facebook post so raw and loving that if you read it, you probably had to pause and breathe for a moment. Lindsay talked about how Dolly could light up any room just by being there, about how her kindness made people feel special, how her laughter filled the gaps in their lives. And she wrote this one line that keeps echoing for me. She found some peace knowing Dolly was now with their dad in heaven, and she could almost picture the two of them together again, happy. When I first read that, I had to sit with it for a minute. You know when grief just spills over in the simplest words, it gets you. Dolly's mom, Stacey Thurman, has told more about those last days. Dolly had been sick for a while, but things got worse fast. She ended up in a Fort Worth hospital on March 29th. Doctors found fluid around her heart and lungs. They put her in a medically induced coma. The very next day, she was on a ventilator. Her family never left her side. Her mom, her sister, the people who loved her most in the world were there in that hospital room. And that's where Dolly passed away, lost to congestive heart failure. She was only 30. Just before all this, Lindsay posted about Dolly on National Siblings Day, but instead of sharing happy photos, she wrote something quietly terrified. She said it was a hard day, that her sister was in the hospital and fighting for her life. She asked people for prayers and privacy. There was fear in every sentence. The family held on to hope until the end. But now, let's talk about Dolly, not as a headline, but as a whole person, because she honestly deserves more than a few lines in an obituary. Dolly went on My 600 Pound Life looking for help. She was already living on oxygen at 25. She found her way to Dr. Now, the blunt, matter-of-fact Houston surgeon the show is famous for. But Dolly didn't show up on TLC pretending everything was fine. She didn't mask her struggle or offer excuses. She just laid herself bare. She said it out loud. Food was the only thing that quieted her mind, the only pleasure, eventually, the center her whole life circled around. Hearing someone say that is hard. Your gut reaction might be to think, well, just stop. But come on, life isn't that simple. Dolly grew up without her dad. He struggled with addiction and left early on. That left a cut no one could stitch up. Her mom, Stacey, raised her alone. You saw the weight of all that history, the bullying from other kids, the loneliness, the times she just felt different. And you could tell, Stacey did everything she could, but some hurts just land too deep. Dolly herself explained it. She said she was left alone a lot as a kid. When her dad wasn't there and the ache got big, she turned to food. It worked. It gave her comfort, filled that gap. Coping mechanisms are like that. They help just enough to keep you hooked. At first, you're the one making a choice. Later, it's like the choice gets made for you. Her words were simple. Ever since I can remember, food was just a coping thing. It just made me happy. It still does. Food just makes me happy. There's no villain in that line. No one to blame. Just a kid trying to find relief. On the show, Dolly managed to lose 40 pounds while working with Dr. Now, but it wasn't enough for her to qualify for surgery. The requirements were rigid, and the road ahead was long. Real change, especially healing those old emotional injuries, doesn't come fast. It doesn't fit into a reality TV timeline. It happens in slow motion, with setbacks and breakdowns, with bitter fights to start again almost every day. But Dolly tried. After the show, she posted on Instagram, And her words felt like sunlight breaking through. She wasn't homeless anymore. She was losing weight. For once, she said she was feeling good and making it through each day, grateful for God and for family. In a post from June 2024, she wrote, "I can see how much I'm losing. It's a journey, and I'm seeing my worth now." 6 words that are bigger than almost anything she could have achieved on TV. I'm seeing my worth now. What does it take to say that, honestly? After a childhood of feeling left behind? After years of using food like armor? After being on national TV, exposed to strangers' judgments? To reach a place where you finally see your own value? It's a miracle in a way. And that's what hurts most about losing Dolly. She wasn't just starting her life. She was in the messy, brave middle of changing it. She was beginning to believe she deserved better, fighting for herself in a way that was finally breaking through. And just when her story started to turn hopeful, her life ended. Congestive heart failure. The words sound clinical, but the reality is messy. The heart works harder every year until one day it can't do it anymore. For someone who's lived with extra weight for so long, the strain is constant. The damage isn't always obvious from the outside, but it's relentless. In her final moments, Dolly wasn't alone. She was surrounded by her family, her mom, her sister Lindsay, the same sister who reached out for the world's prayers. She was loved fiercely, right up to the very end. I keep coming back to Lindsay's tribute. Dolly made people feel seen. And now, her sister hopes Dolly's somewhere better, with their dad. That the loneliness she felt as a kid is finally over, and she gets to feel safe and whole again. It's a beautiful thought, and maybe that's enough, for now, to soften the grief. Dolly Martinez wasn't just her weight. She was blue hair and laughter, stubborn honesty, and open-hearted effort. She was someone who kept fighting, stubbornly, for a life with meaning. She wasn't perfect, none of us are, but she was loved, and she mattered. Rest easy, Dolly. You were seen, you were loved, and you were absolutely worth knowing.